Well, art is much more than a painting or a drawing. There are thousands of different artist mediums and ways of expression. One Duluth business is showcasing all of that and the people who make it. Northern News Now's Isabella Zadra takes us inside Alt Creative to share why this shop is different from others.
When stepping through the doors of Alt Creative, many items can be seen for sale. Paintings, crocheted items, and even thrifted antiques looking for a new purpose. But one thing they all have in common, they're all products of local artists and makers. Alt Creative is a space for people to display and sell their art with a small piece of their revenue going towards the store.
I work in several different mediums. I'm a writer.
Henry Kneisel is one of around 50 different makers who have work up in the store. They're grateful for the support of Alt Creative, creating a space for creative minds.
It gives me the confidence to expand my operation, that there's at least a store in town that has my back, you know?
Kneisel also volunteers frequently at the store. That's another piece that makes this place unique. The store is also run by the artists who sell there, most of them volunteering a shift about once a month.
It's worked out really well. I feel like it's a way that we can keep our art affordable and accessible to everybody while still providing the money back to the artists themselves.
Melissa Weiser is the owner of Alt Creative, but says she worked with many community members to make this happen. They all saw the need for smaller artists wanting to have a storefront for their work, pushing them to create a space where any creator could feel welcome and have the same opportunity to sell.
I want to be the weird place, the weird shop where you're going to find the weird stuff, or the beautiful regular stuff too. Just something for everybody.
In Duluth, Isabella Zadra, Northern News Now.
A very cool concept there. The artists can stay in the space as long as they want. They're also allowed to switch their art pieces or projects whenever they please. More information about shopping or selling at Alt Creative can be found right now on our website.